It always seems
That's right.
to do that. All right. Well, hello and good morning, friends, colleagues, digital challengers, live streamers, live stream wannabes. My name is Doyle Buehler, and I'm here with my amazing co-host, Keith Keller. And we have a super fantastic guest as well, Annemarie Cross, the podcast queen. So we're going to be talking about Streamyard video, live streaming rather, with the tool of Streamyard. We've used a couple. I'm actually a native of BeLive. I've been using that for years. So it's a bit of an educational experience as well. So we brought in an expert, Annemarie Cross, to come in and talk about things. So first off, Keith, say hi.
Hey.
Introduce yourself.
It's been a bit of a ride. Last week we did BeLive and used Facebook Live, and that's very cool. And that sets the show up. That's very easy to use. BeLive allows for two sites, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. It's a cost-effective option. You can have up to 4 guests. Now we're rolling it out. We're comparing that format to this one, Streamyard, up to 6 guests, up to 5 sites. But today you can watch the show on either Facebook Live or YouTube Live, and you can watch the replay. And we're going to ask Annemarie how she's using StreamYard to use Periscope and LinkedIn Live and all the cool functions. And this series is going to be about all the different options so that you can choose the one that suits you.
And that's, at the end of the day, that's really important. And something that we'll talk about throughout this is you need to find the platform that works for you and your business. And that's the other side, is making sure that you have a clear business purpose. Annemarie, say hi.
Hi, everyone. I'm really well, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, good stuff. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So as you mentioned, people used to refer to me as the podcasting queen. So a couple of years ago, I decided to embrace that title. But I'm all about sort of helping experts who feel like the world's best kept secret go from invisible to influential and profitable with a podcast. And how I started live streaming was a number of years ago now, certainly not as many as you, Doyle, but I decided, now that I'm recording a lot of audios, I want to take it to the next level. Zoom, we know, was the first platform that I used to stream live. And at that stage, they were just streaming live to one platform. So we started to do that. And then when I heard about StreamYard, the fact that we could, as Keith said, stream to multiple platforms, it was an easy yes. And it allows you to tap into a whole new audience that you may not necessarily have an opportunity to connect and engage with, and obviously impact through your message. And so now all of my interviews that I do for my audio podcasts are also live streamed live. So we have a completely separate audience, and been doing that for now a couple of years, but love the StreamYard platform.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really cool to see. And I've been kind of playing around with it and looking at some of the features and that sort of thing. We actually have Yui Jacobs who joined us. Hey, Yui, good morning. Here's a great day. And he mentioned Izon also does Facebook and YouTube simultaneously, which is pretty cool. So we're seeing more and more of that too, where some of the platforms can broadcast to multiple channels. Now, why would you want to do that?
You go, Annemarie. You tell me your take on this.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. And I love the way that you've reminded us, Doyle, because I think that that's so important. I mean, why do you want to stream live to across those platforms? And so for me, I know that a lot of my followers are across the platforms that Keith mentioned. So that's Facebook. So I stream live to the Ambitious Entrepreneur Facebook page, my own Facebook page. I have LinkedIn Live. So of course that goes across to LinkedIn. Also have YouTube. Not that I have a lot of following on YouTube, but YouTube is one of those databases that people will often go and find things. So I want to be there. And of course, Periscope and Twitter, which is probably where my largest following is and has been for some time. So those are the 5 platforms that I really tend to, the only platform, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed, that will also join the party is Instagram. I mean, if we could have Instagram Live connected to StreamYard, that I would be a happy chappy. But that's why I'm streaming across those platforms, because my audience is there.
Do you find you get, sorry, Keith, you were going to say something too.
Oh, no, you go. Keep going.
I was just going to ask, do you find that there's specific channels that get more activity or more
Yeah, that's interesting that you
involvement,
should ask
engagement?
that. Yeah, great question. I tend not to schedule my my lives or my podcast interviews ahead of time, because there could be some reasons where the guest is not able to show up, and I don't want to disappoint my audience. So we pretty much go live when I record the interview, and no one else, my audience, don't know when that may be. That may change down the track, but just to give you an example, this morning I went live with a guest from Canada, your home country, Doyle, and we had people that were engaging and commenting from Periscope and Twitter. We had some on LinkedIn, although because they don't share the API, we can't see their comments coming through here live on Streamyard, which is unfortunate. Maybe that may change. And we also had people coming through 2 of my pages on Facebook. So today we had people connecting and engaging from across all of those platforms. So I think it really depends on, you know, what time you go live, the time that your audience tends to be there. But one of the things that I notice is that it has an ongoing lifespan. So people who may not necessarily be there live can come and join the conversation, and they do. It's an, you know, increasing audience number that catches the replay from the lives.
Yeah, definitely. And I've used that schedule feature too. And it's kind of one of those double-edged swords where if there's any problems, you know, Facebook will drop the show, or if it takes too long to get your guests set up, or there's problems or tech issues, which usually there are, they'll drop the show, and then you have to like start all over again.
Yeah.
Let's pick up on that comment, Doyle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You love what Keith said last session: stream where your clients are, meet them where they are at. Yeah, cool. Did you want to comment on that, Keith?
Yeah, the question initially was, why would you live stream to multiple sites? And the really interesting stats that I did this week, because I love Twitter polls, is that
we're going to talk about some of those Twitter polls too, right?
Yeah, and I did a Twitter poll specifically to ask the question, well, where are you watching these live streams? And I just assumed that Facebook Live was a dominant force and that everyone was going there, because most of the sites just beginning only allow Facebook and YouTube. And I just assumed that was a decision. But we found, as amazingly, that 51% of people want to watch videos on YouTube. And Annemarie said, even though she doesn't have that many viewers, people know that YouTube is a video platform. So why not, if you can, for a very small fee, put your videos on YouTube as well? So this video now is available on YouTube and Facebook Live, and we're going to start adding the other ones, especially Periscope, because a lot of my followers are on Twitter, and Periscope is a big thing. Now, up until recently, you couldn't really split the format, so that you had to just use your app and just talk as the guy sitting in the shorts on the backyard. Hey, I'm having a beer. It's Friday night. What are you doing? Well, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to talk about me having a beer on the couch on a Saturday night. There's no way I'm going to do that type of live streaming. But this type of live streaming, where I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, interviewing guests who have come with a specific knowledge, it's useful. People can make comments. People can learn from us and from the guests. I could do this all day, every day. And it seems a shame to only do it on one platform. I mean, a friend of mine who I'm hoping will come on the show, she used to have a gadget. I don't know if you've seen people do this back in the day, where she had a gadget with 6 phones on it. And she had 6 phones set up so that she could stream to LinkedIn and Facebook and YouTube and Periscope and Twitch and YouNow. And she had a purpose-built stand for this. I mean, and she was exhausted because she didn't really know where to look. So Streamyard and these other sites, which we'll talk about in this series, have been very clever to say, look, if you're going to do this, get one device and do it really well, an HD webcam, look at the camera and just look at that one camera, and we'll do the hard yards. We'll do the heavy lifting. So StreamYard, for instance, allows you to stream to 5 potential sites at the same time. Facebook, group profile, LinkedIn Live, if you have it, YouTube, Periscope, Twitch. No? And eventually they will add Instagram, I found this really cool site, which I'm researching at the moment, that does allow you to stream into YouTube. It's called Lucky Duck, I think, Lucky Duck TV. I'll research that for you. But it is possible. So it's only a matter of time before all these sort of umbrella places come together. And it's a little bit like Hootsuite. Hootsuite was one of those first sites that said, you know, you've got content, why not send it out to the multiple sites? I mean, that's a given now, but 5 years ago, that was a revolutionary idea, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah,
Just picking up on what you said, Keith, about being able to stream to Twitch, if you use Restream, which is what I originally did before Streamyard, because they continue, they're a platform, their developers continue to add incredible functionalities to their platform, which was another reason why I decided to cancel my Zoom account and go fully in Streamyard, because I also use it to deliver webinars for my private clients and even do coaching with them. And so what you can do is if you connect Streamyard to Restream, you can stream to, like, I think it's like 30 different platforms. Yeah.
Did you know that?
For me, there's no point, because Twitch is really a gaming platform. Now, I don't know whether any of those gamers want to become a thought leader in their industry. Maybe they want to become the gamer in their industry, but I don't think my content is going to be relevant for them.
Well, it's what we did. It's why we did the Twitter poll, and if you can bring it up, or let's talk about it. I agree with you, Annemarie. Why send your stuff to YouNow, which is a site? Why send it to Twitch or Mixer, which is another site? Why send it to these sites for the sake of it? Because there is a group of people in the industry that say, look, just be everywhere. You might as well. Well, that's just rubbish, because if you even spend 10% of your energy setting up a stream in a place where there's no one there that knows what you're doing, that's 10% of your energy you could be spending on making this live stream better.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you should say that, Keith, and I bring up a comment that someone shared to me the other day, and she was saying that one of her connections said that now, because of COVID and they're very much more isolated, they're doing a lot more gaming. And this person said, well, I want to have my show there because I want to attract their attention. Now, if you look at it that way, that's actually interruption marketing, where you're hoping that your content is going to interrupt what they're doing in gaming. Now, I don't know about you, but I would rather connect with an audience who are there because they want to listen, they want to view, they want to engage, they want to participate, rather than interrupting because their attention is there. And so that's something to consider too.
What do you think of that, Doyle?
Sorry, I've been kind of managing the
tweaking around
the tech back here. I've been trying to share the screen so we could show that poll, actually. So my apologies, I was kind of distracted. So
well, let me pick up what you said, and I really want to hear your thoughts on this, because I know you play in this field. You know, Annemarie was saying that someone was saying, look, if everyone's gaming, why don't we try and do a few shows there and almost interrupt their game? Now, just imagine how angry a person who's into gaming would be if you interrupted their game by telling them about you. That is just the worst idea in the history of the world. Because
so what if you could then game with them, really is kind of what they want to do at the end of the day. So that's where you really have to match your message with what they're doing, kind of thing.
Yeah, if it's relevant to their message. But if you're going, hi, I've got a health and wellness product, come and buy. Not that we're saying that that's how they would do that, but it really is more of that interruption marketing. Why not go to a platform?
Flamed.
Yeah,
that's exactly. You'd get flamed. So, and it's actually interesting because you have to know your audience too. We were talking earlier before the show that you have to dress for the show too, right? Because I did a session, I'm not going to say when, but recently, and one fellow was dressed in like a tank top, and it was like he's at the beach. He was technically in Thailand, right? But it was like it was a formal type session with people from around the world, and it was about startups and fintech and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I want to pick up on this because I've been watching a lot of Annemarie's streams, and today's show is about Streamyard, streamyard.com, a site based in Vancouver. And the reason why I love it is because it allows five sites and 6 guests. But I want to talk about a time when Annemarie had this, like the CEO of the company, on his back lawn in a singlet on his mobile. It was unwatchable.
Well, there you go. Yeah, it certainly
Remember
can.
that, Annemarie?
Yes, and normally one of the features, and I've seen you do that on this particular show here, where you allow the guest to be full screen, and it was like, there's no way that I am going to, do that. So it is, if it's a visual platform. So for me, of course, if I'm training my clients to be able to do both, live stream and record the audio podcast at the same time, you need to be aware of the platform and ultimately how you're sharing your message, and that will also include what's your backdrop look like. I mean, I'm facing my door. If I know that I am going to be doing multiple back-to-backs, I'll lock the door because my kids will often come in, or my husband, and unless I jump up on the screen to hide the microphone. These are all things that you need to consider because there is that visual element. And I know that we've seen some funny things where you've got kids walking into the back.
Wait, mate, let's do that. Let's create one of them for you. Let's get one of your kids to symbolically come in and go, Mom,
just for fun.
That'd be brilliant. Like a piss take, do it on purpose.
Yeah. Oh, my son, because he's now working from home now too with what's going on, he has walked in, and then as soon as he opens the door, he walks straight back out again because he knew that, mum's facing the live stream computer and she's probably live. So there you go.
Yeah, you need a big flashing light. Well, I've actually tested with the green screen on Streamyard.
Yeah.
It's not too bad. It's actually playing around with this one here specifically. It's not quite as easy as Zoom is, and the quality I feel is a little bit better on Zoom, but we haven't actually gone over Zoom yet in this show, but we'll have to do that. But it actually, I had to flip the screen because I have like a blue side and a green side, and it was just way too dark with the blue, but it picked it up nicely with Zoom, which was nice because then you can kind of see that fringe, that yellow fringe still, and even playing around with it type thing. So, and I do have like a light in front, and I have a light on the side to kind of light the background, but I just wanted to play around with this and see if it was actually fairly feasible. So you can set it up with about 10 minutes of jigging. We actually have another question from you, or comment. Wow, you could have pushed me over with a feather. 50% want to view on YouTube. So Keith, back to your stats there. Are YouTube viewers looking at live or viewing in their timeline?
So this was actually, and I'll probably do a subsequent poll. My gut feeling is that people know that YouTube is a video platform, and that they're used to watching, maybe not live, but watching videos in YouTube. So almost everyone has said, mate, can you send me that video in YouTube? They might not be inclined to watch the live, and they can't make comments, which is a real mystery. Like the great thing here is that we've got a comment from Facebook, which means the show is very interactive. So 20%, only 20% of people say they prefer to watch their videos on Facebook. That surprised me because I thought Facebook Live was a dominant force. 25% of people say they love Periscope. That doesn't surprise me because I love Twitter and I know what Periscope can do, and I've got a global audience. But the real surprise, and I know Annemarie will probably debunk this because she gets a lot of sort of clients from LinkedIn, 2.8% of people. Is it 2.8? 2.8% of people like LinkedIn Live, probably because they don't have it. And a few people in the comments said, mate, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. But what's interesting, though, and this is just a caveat for everyone who's watching or listening, is that this is your audience. And it's so important, as you've done, Keith, as you polled your audience. And it's such a great reminder for us. Go out and ask your own audience, what do you prefer, so that you can then go and make sure that the content's there. Because I know that, yesterday I did a live stream for another podcast that I host and produce for an alliance partner. And I had a comment under that from a second degree connection. So they are not connected with me personally. So they're not the first connection on LinkedIn. And they said, oh, I'm so glad you're back. I've missed your podcast because we only produce, so there you go. So there are people that actually will hang out. And as soon as they see the little pop-up to say Annemarie's live, they'll jump on. So again, it depends, on your audience and making sure that you know exactly what they prefer.
So it's worth persisting, Doyle. I know you've asked about 103 times, but it's worth persisting. It's worth doing.
Yeah. And you would say, Doyle, a lot of your audience would be over on LinkedIn too, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I've been kind of disappointed by LinkedIn. So
Yeah.
It occurred to me,
yeah,
I'm going to make a prediction here. I'm going to make a prediction. This is April 2020. I'm going to make a prediction that Microsoft Teams one day turns on stream into LinkedIn.
Why aren't they doing that now? Like
Zoom has the ability to now stream to Facebook and LinkedIn, Facebook and YouTube. Zoom has the ability to do that. You just click a button and you stream it. It's so easy. So Microsoft Teams, obviously owned by Microsoft. LinkedIn is owned by Microsoft. It would be so easy to just click a button and go, let's stream this meeting to our Facebook group. Why haven't they done it? I mean, I can't imagine why they haven't done it. What do you think?
Well, actually, Teams is a different thing because there may be private discussions and conversations going on there. And I think that's where you've got to, this is a question that was often debated on the Streamyard group. And if you haven't joined that already, Doyle, I would certainly go ahead and do that because you can get some really good responses there and your questions answered. I've always found them really helpful if I have a bit of a tech issue. But it's to ask, what is the overall purpose? Why am I on this platform and what's the outcome that I want? And if you're thinking about Microsoft Teams, I mean, I don't have Microsoft Teams, but wouldn't that be a platform where you would be discussing projects or, something to do with the business?
It certainly can be, but it's like Zoom basically, right? Where you can get a group of people together and you obviously have to inform them that this is a discussion that we're going to be taking live or whatever. So there's certainly that. So yes, it would be a very specific type of content that you're deciding to broadcast. But if you do have that option of, yes, click here and you can go live on LinkedIn, you bring an audience to that. You have a team meeting even on LinkedIn as well. So it certainly can work. And I'm actually quite surprised when Keith mentioned it earlier. It's like, oh yeah, it's like, why wouldn't you be doing that? Like the two seem so natural, but whatever. Sometimes companies don't act the way that we feel that they should.
And I guess it depends on what that development team, what Microsoft wants for the teams. It sounds to me that it's a platform more to be able to have discussions with teams around the world. And so a platform, if it was a streaming platform, that's what they're going to focus on. Like niching. We tell our clients, you've got to niche, you've got to be the key player in that industry. And
let me make another prediction. I love this because sometimes they actually come true. Mostly they don't. Google Meet this week allows now 16 people in the Google Hangout format. Used to be 4, now it's 16. So my prediction is that Google Meet will sync with YouTube if it doesn't already. And why wouldn't it? You can meet, like Zoom is the premier product, 100 people, $20 a month. It's such a no-brainer. But Google's got a product called Google Meet. WebEx has a product. Microsoft has a product. They're all competing against each other. And if live streaming becomes the thing, like not private but public, if live streaming becomes the thing, why not just simply add that feature? You can choose to activate it or not. But I mean, if LinkedIn Live is so hard to get going, and as Annemarie says, it's so good to do when you get it, surely everyone wants to connect that. Surely. Let's push for that.
Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, like we are talking StreamYard for business too. So we have to make sure that what you do use it for sort of fits within your business and how you want to.
Which leads you back to the criteria, doesn't it? It leads you back to the criteria you set up, which is brilliant.
Yeah, definitely. And we can maybe start to go through some of it and then just continue the conversation.
Yeah,
StreamYard.
absolutely.
Yeah. So guess how many can we have on StreamYard? I think we talked about that.
Well, 6, I think we said,
6,
including.
Perfect. And we're going to be publishing these results as well as we get into screen sharing. We can share screens. Yes. Screen graphics and overlays. Yes, you can see that I've got a logo and we can have the name and we can have banners. You can
Let me pick up on that because Annemarie's done this well. You can do this. I think this is one of StreamYard's strengths. It's not just a tick; it's a plus. Annemarie, tell me about the graphics. It's really powered, isn't it? Really hard.
Yeah, so you can create different banners And you can remove people's names and put your own branded banners across so that you know their name and little graphics and other things. So what I've done in the past is I might have Keith Keller, and then I might have a Twitter logo, and then the Twitter handle of Keith. So you can include banners on the bottom, on the top, or across both. You can have logos like you have had there, Doyle, from yours. You can have tickers as well. So if there's a specific thing that you really want to, a piece of content, you can have it that goes along the screen like this, like a ticker, as well. So there's just little things, creative elements that you can enable a different experience as people are engaging with you. So you're not just looking at talking heads.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the good part about it, is that you can actually use it to show different things. So
there it is. Welcome to the show. Or you can put a hashtag.
Welcome. Yeah, so you can actually do a lot of stuff. I must say that I do enjoy the interface of Streamyard. It's a little bit easier to understand than BeLive. It is quite complicated because you have to go through sort of different levels of menus to kind of get to that. And these are right there. They're there. They're easy. It pulls up and away you go. So
yeah, something else that you can do, and I've used this and I love the feature too, is you can share the screen, but you can also incorporate PowerPoints. However, what I have learned, and a tip, is that it's best to create on Google Slides rather than, say, PowerPoint or Keynote. Okay. So, yeah. And you can have them in the big screen too. So you can have yourself on the side and then the PowerPoints, or you can have the PowerPoints just with no people on the side, no faces.
Well, that's actually very, very powerful, because the second Twitter poll we did, which we can talk about later, but I'll just briefly allude to it here, is that I asked the question of my tribe, and remember, this is my tribe, it'll be different for everyone. What are the key components that you want? Do you want to have guests? Because some Restream, for instance, doesn't allow guests. Do you want to have a situation that looks good, like it looks professional? Is that the point? Do you want to make a live stream that looks like the TV, that looks like something really powerful? And that was a key component. You could see there that a fairly sizable amount of people thought that looking professional was the point. Because we're using this for business. This is not just something to do to fill in your day. We're trying to get clients and get the message out, aren't we? Yeah. So one of the things was having guests. And a big chunk of people said that. Another idea was looking professional. Another idea, which I think is very powerful, is getting a recording, which I know is one of our criteria. And we'll talk about this when we go back to the criteria. And the other idea is the idea of scheduling ahead. I know that Annemarie doesn't typically schedule ahead, and I've never really done it. But the idea of being able to put a YouTube and a Facebook link in the night before, and then wake up in the morning with a couple of hours to prepare and say, hey, we're live today. Here's the link. Come live or watch the replay. It's very powerful, isn't it? Have you found that, Doyle? Was it easy to do?
Oh, yeah, it is. Honestly, from a stress standpoint of running a live show, it is good for having it set up in advance, right? So you schedule it, you can promote it, you can get people there. That sort of thing. So it really kind of lowers that stress level as in terms of, okay, well now I've got a show to go in like an hour. I've got all these things to do, kind of thing. So it's there, it's ready. It's you can jump in when you're ready and kind of warm up the guests as well, which is quite helpful to be able to do that. What I found was missing though, is that you can obviously schedule it in advance. Just certain platforms do that. And actually I did want to add that last week when we talked about BeLive, actually just going back, you can actually now broadcast to YouTube as well. So I want to make sure I added that in, because last week I said that you couldn't, but you can broadcast to Facebook Live and to YouTube as well at the same time. They've actually just recently added that feature, but I did miss it. So, but anyway, yeah, one of the things that all these tools are missing is how do you actually connect that with like an event? So yes, you can schedule it. Yes, the link can be, you can get notified on Facebook when you go live type thing, but there's no piece, at least that I know of, that can kind of connect it to sort of like an event, come to my event. Here's the link. Here's everything you can do with it. You can register as well, which I think is important. So that then you can remind people. So
yeah, two things that I can add to that and that I have done and seen done well is number one, I think if you're going to use a stream, a streamed show as part of, your awareness building and obviously building a level of engagement with your audience, is to pick a time and a date that is consistent so that they know that, hey, on Wednesday at 9:30, Keith and Doyle, I'm just pulling a date, Keith and Doyle are going to be live, and this is what, so they can plan that ahead. So you don't need to, so that you don't need to kind of swap and change. Something else that I've done really well, and Holly Hoadley from Canada, she came on one of my masterminds, and she was talking about what we could do, and this is what we did do. We set up an Eventbrite event. And we set up the Streamyard and all of that, but we did it through Eventbrite, which meant we are sending people to register their interest via Eventbrite, compiling emails. And as we know, we want to compile emails and be able to network with them later. So you can incorporate that as part of your overall process, which means that you can engage with people, send them follow-up emails. Hey, we're coming online. Don't forget, here's some instructions, those kind of things. If this is something that you want to do as a, inconsistent piece of your content sharing and awareness building.
Yeah, that is true. Like Eventbrite can be used, and I have used it in some cases, but you do then have to set up the event in advance, obviously, or the broadcast in advance, which definitely helps, as I mentioned. But it is an extra step too. And I guess I see at some point we would probably see that kind of thing integrated, perhaps in, Streamyard or BeLive, where you just have a registration console. Actually, one of the other platforms that Keith's not too keen on, but Remo does actually allow you to register then and there for that specific event as well. Yeah. So that is a plus there. So so
one of the things I was going to ask you, Doyle, I don't know whether BeLive allows you to do this, but I find this really helpful, is that when I'm doing an interview, what I will do is I will have an intro, the actual intro and the 3 key points that my guest is going to share, and I set them up as part of when I'm setting up StreamYard, which means that as soon as I go live, the words will be there. And on every one of those platforms, except for LinkedIn, I'll also put a comment. What did you like about the show? What was the greatest aha? Come and listen. And I put the URL of the podcast. So that means that after I've gone live across all of those platforms, I don't have to go back and edit anything. Well, unless, because of YouTube, your cover image and things like that. But a lot of the content, the wording is already there. Of course, there's a certain level of character, only 3,000, I believe, on or maybe lower on LinkedIn. But when you do that, when you set it up, it's something that you don't need to do, and that becomes helpful.
Yeah. Do you mean like in the description then?
Yes.
Of the event? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And that's a really good idea, is that then people can see specifically what it's about and what you're going to talk about.
Yes.
Sometimes what I do too is kind of use those as highlighted points in the agenda or the banners, I guess, in the case of StreamYard. So that's what we're talking about now. I kind of pre-populate those, so then you can actually go and select, okay, we're talking about this now. I'm just going to, send the viewers a reminder that this is sort of the topic kind of thing. So
yeah.
Excellent. All right. So let's keep going through the criteria here. Screen graphics and overlays, yes. Scheduling in advance on StreamYard, yes. Built-in registration and event pages, no, as we said. Other than that, you can set up the broadcast in advance. So costs and a freemium model. Do we have an idea of the costs here for StreamYard?
I'll work you through those. One of the things that I think is important in all of the tests that we're trying is that they have a robust freemium model. So with the StreamYard, you can try it for free, and you can send your file to one platform, either Facebook or Periscope or LinkedIn Live or YouTube. One. And you can't record it on the free model. So you get a bit of a teaser, you get a bit of a taste. You go, look, I can relate to this. Then for $25 a month, what a great cost point. $25 a month, you can have 2 sites. You can record each and every episode, and any given scenario can be up to 4 hours long. 4 hours. If you really can be bothered going that long, you can actually record up to 4 hours of content for the $25 model. So six guests always, 2 platforms, 4 hours of recording for $25 a month. I mean, it's not such a no-brainer. I should be working for them. So the second level, which is the premium product, is $49 a month. It's cheaper if you pay annually. $49 a month, you can have up to 5 platforms, 2 Facebook pages or profiles, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Periscope. And you can have up to 8 hours continuous recording. $49 a month. So if you're really into this and you're doing a show every day or every few days, then it's not so hard to justify $50 a month for the marketing potential. Would you agree, Annemarie? Are you getting your value?
Oh, definitely. And I was lucky because I tend to keep an eye out on things when they're just coming out, because when that happens, you can get on board often for a lower package, which I'm glad you had those prices, because I'm one of the early adopters. And but definitely. I mean, why wouldn't I do that? And so one of the things that I do, and this is what I'm sharing to all of my clients, who are we're primarily doing this for our podcast. So ultimately, when we download the video, and we can also download the audio. But what I want to do is minimize the amount of time that my team needs to edit. So what I have done is created an intro video for Streamyard, because obviously this is visual. So we have some graphics, but behind that is the intro music, which I play. And then I also have an outro. So it really does kind of play nicely, from a visual point of view for Streamyard. But that means that when my team goes to edit it, they don't have to add the intro at the beginning. They only have to chop out the outro and put a different outro, because the outro we use on screen is the URL, because the call to action is I want people to go and subscribe and find other podcast episodes. And then the outro in the audio version of the podcast, the call to action is a list builder. So, 2 different strategies and calls to action there. But I do that then so that we're repurposing content and we're streamlining, so we don't have to do a lot of editing on the back end.
What are your thoughts on that, Doyle, the idea of having a bumper or some sort of intro and outro that sort of sums up the show and gives a bit of branding?
Yeah, I think that certainly can be important as sort of the rebroadcast side of things. For live, it doesn't necessarily fit, but or I don't think it does. I mean, you can kind of have an intro anyways, like they do on the big TV stations. But from a business perspective, people want to get context very, very quickly. So if they're watching a replay, they need to know, well, what's in this for me? What is this show really about? Like, they're not going to spend an hour watching it. They want to know up front. Who are you talking to? What can I learn from this? Why is it important to me? So yeah, something like that, definitely. So then you can package it, you can can it, you can put it up on YouTube, and then sort of have it there as an archive, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it's very important to use that. And there's reuse what we've created here. For example, like Keith, you do a lot of snippets that you take out of the videos, and then that allows us to be able to have little 1 minute to sort of highlight reel of what's going on. But look at how you can actually repurpose that content. And there's a great site, repurpose.io, that has that capability. So when you broadcast to Facebook, it takes it and you can actually cut it and edit it there and then, and it actually repositions it on other channels.
Let me pick up on what you've just said there, because I know a lot of people that have YouTube shows, and they sort of expect me to watch the whole thing, and they've given me no backstory. And I'm thinking, you haven't really told me what it's about. And why am I going to invest an hour of my time when I don't even know if I want to watch it? So the power of repurposing, and I've seen this done with podcasting too, where they take the essence of the show and they forward load it. So right at the start, they have like a 10-second snippet of this guy talking, or the guest talking about what the show's about. So then you've got, okay, this is what the show's about. It's worth my time. You've got my attention. Okay, now I'm going to settle in. Because the idea of simply sending someone to an hour-long YouTube video without preparing them and saying, look, just watch it, it's all there. Well, sure it is, but what's it about? I mean, an hour's a long time. I've only got 8 hours or 10 hours in the day. I don't want to be spending an hour sitting in a chair watching a YouTube video that I'm not really even interested in.
Yeah, that's where I think you've got to look at your strategy, because what I have found with even the live streaming and the podcast audience, because you've got to look at your customer journey and go, where are people on the journey? Yes. And so for me, I know that people will often say, well, look, we cannot wait to binge listen. And the reason why we do the intro, it's just I'm a brand strategist from that's my core business, so we do that. But it's almost like, when you're doing something and you hear a bump the music, I need to get prepared, so it kind of gives them a little bit and it creates an experience. And that is why I spend quite a bit of time when I'm working on this with clients. Every single piece of music, all of that has to create that experience. And when you do that, and you know that you really are doing the show for the people who are enthusiasts, they're your fans, because you know that they love the content. And yes, obviously the introduction is really important, all of that kind of stuff, the key points, which is why I always add them in the comment section for the newbies. But I'm really doing the show for the people who really love to hang out, because I know my audience, they're pretty busy anyway. So a lot of them will catch up with the audio and then kind of have me in the background. But that's one of the reasons. It's because it creates that experience, and people enjoy that. And so it is short and sweet, but I love that because it kind of sets the stage, Can
I ask you, Doyle, to comment on binge watching or binge listening? This is a phenomenon. I mean, people who will love shows might watch 3 or 4 in a row. So once you've got that really sort of golden customer, the one that loves your content, they don't want to just listen to bits and pieces here and there. They're into it, aren't they? So do you have a bit of a comment or a bit of a thought on the idea of binge watching or binge listening?
Yeah, well, that's why, as Annemarie said, you need some branding there as well. So not everybody's going to watch it live. Most people are going to watch it on the replay. So you kind of have to, again, shift the context of what's important here and how you're going to do it. And that really gives you an opportunity to speak with people as well in the long term, making it good and, again, content, but also context as well. And that actually comes down to, Google called it the 0 moment of truth, right? Where you want to spend as much time with somebody before they're sort of ready to do business with you as well. And it works out to 7 hours, 11 touch points, and 4 channels as well. So if people can come and watch you on YouTube for, even an hour or whatever the case may be, they're kind of getting to know you, getting to like you, getting to trust you as well. So that's why it's important to have this platform of videos, of podcasts, of snippets, of PDFs, of all of this content that you're producing, so that people can go and Google Doyle Buehler and go through my YouTube videos, or Keith Keller, go through Twitter, and see the stuff that you're doing, or Annemarie, like all your channels and all your content as well. Like that's what we need to build a business for, is to have those assets, have that ecosystem that can really kind of move the business along as well.
And what do you what format do you think, or what positioning do you think live streaming or live video plays in that? Is it becoming increasingly important, do you think?
Here's where I would say that I found that it becomes increasingly important because of all of the fake news and people spending so much time in putting beautifully, tailored photos and all that. We've gotten to the point where we go, whatever, the Merc or whatever. I'm not into cars in the background. That just doesn't impress. And so there's something about live, that vulnerability, that immediacy of the message that creates that engagement. Now, for me, I don't have time to watch a lot of lives myself. However, and this goes back to the point with both what you were saying and Keith was saying, what we were talking about, the customer journey, if you are so clear on who your ideal client is, where you want to position your thought leadership on, and where you want to become known in to provide the solution and become that go-to person, you need to then think of all of the content that you're going to share, the topics that you're going to share, the guests that you're going to have on your show, and even the solo shows where you're speaking and sharing content. And you have to, and I know Doyle was saying this earlier, you've got to provide context. You've got to give them a reason why this is so important. And so that's one of the things that I find with a lot of people, whether they're starting a podcast or a live stream, they go, well, let's just interview. I'll interview my friends first and my colleagues and other experts. But if you haven't thought of there's two areas, the message strategy, your message, and monetization, you're only just going to be another one of those live stream shows that really doesn't have any purpose. And people aren't going to listen or watch and go, I really need to hang out with this person, because every single show adds value. It's helping me across some form of where I am now to where I want to be, because you bring a lot of solutions within that for your ideal client, and it's consistent. And so when you do that, every single show that you have, whether it's live stream or audio, is going to add value to your audience across the buyer's journey, wherever they're at.
Yeah, I agree. And I've sort of, the shows that I sort of have like a little bit more are sort of the educational ones, where they're teaching you something, they're showing you something. The ones with guests are fine, like we're having this now, but I think we're also sort of bridging that gap a little, because we are making it educational. We are sort of, increasing that knowledge level. So yeah, I agree that those are the people that you want to follow. So you have to look at, how do you create your content around that, have a purpose, have an understanding of what you're trying to deliver as well. So
yeah, one of the things that I'll say to my clients with the audio podcasting, and this would be the same with live streams, people come for the topic, they return for the host.
Yep.
They're interested in that particular topic. 1,000, 1,000,000 other live streamers, hosts can bring that topic, but it's the experience you create that is going to have them go, I like this person, want to hang out, love their sense of humor, or whatever, is important for them. And so I'm often asked, how do I increase my viewers or, podcast, my listeners and subscribers? Well, it starts from, and we'll use live stream in this case, it'll start from the live stream title. What is your title? Is it got a call to action, a promise of value, and what people are going to learn? Then it starts with your intro. And if you're using music and graphics, that's going to be really important, because you want to really connect with your audience and create that stage. Then it's the introduction and how you bring that forward. With video, you need a lot more charisma. You need to be able to look across that screen as if you're looking at that person. And then, of course, the way that you guide your guest along the journey of the content. And I'll often say that there's 3 E's. There's engagement that needs to be there. There's education that needs to be there. You said that, Doyle. And all of your content needs to build this compelling, this intriguing reason why, when you share your call to action, you've enticed them the whole way through, that they go, I cannot wait to get that checklist, cannot wait to whatever that call to action is. And when you have that consistently across all of your podcasts, your live streams, you'll create a promise of value with your audience that they expect, because they know that they'll get real quality content that's going to support them in that message, and in that area that you'll want to become the thought leader in.
yeah, that's fantastic. Building that experience, or making it an experience as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have to wear a chicken suit either.
No, unless, of course, you're a chicken farm or something. That's what you're promoting.
All right, let's keep moving here. Multiple channel broadcasting and quantity. So with StreamYard, Keith, you said we had six channels,
5
guests. Yes, 5 channels. Okay, perfect. Video broadcast quality and options. I can only get 720 on this maximum, so you can't use an HD camera. What's been your experience, Annemarie, with quality, or Keith? Yeah.
You go, Annemarie. What's your thoughts on the quality of StreamYard? Is it enough?
Oh, look, quality is fine. The only issues that I have had with any quality has been because of my internet. So the quality's been fine for.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a particular thought about quality, because I love editing. So 720p is the minimum that I would accept for the quality of the video. And the reason why is, and I've done a very robust experiment comparing Zoom, which is 1080p, and Streamyard and others, which are 720p. And what that means is that they look fuzzy. I mean, if you just to use completely non-techie language, they look fuzzy. And when the site has better resolution, 1080p and above, it looks more lifelike, which means you're more likely to engage with the person speaking because you feel like you're with them. It's not just a random pixelated photo. And I'm a bit of a purist when it comes to quality, but I think 720 is enough. And I know the guys at Streamyard are okay with that. They don't really have any plan to go beyond that because I guess it's another level of tech. Mm. And the thing about quality is that for every time you step up the ladder, you need really good internet to maintain it. So there'll come a time when you just get natural attrition. And even if you can get 4K, there's no way you could stream it because it just sucks up too much data. Yeah. Mm. Would you agree, Doyle?
Yeah, 100%. And you are kind of limited, unfortunately, to how much your Wi-Fi connection and your connection to your office or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, that's a huge issue. And sometimes a lot of them even struggle with 720, quite honestly. But it'd be interesting to see because some of the feedback we got when we were doing Be Live is that if you're moving even slightly, then you kind of look a lot blurry for the viewer as well. So we'll have to compare notes on that one. Yeah. I haven't noticed it, and I did notice it as the host in our last episode where, yeah, Keith, if you were moving around, like it kind of started to get grainy pretty quickly as well. So but I haven't seen that. I don't know.
I haven't noticed that. Yeah. No, I haven't. And again, it depends on the quality of the internet. I have had some instances where I just could not put the guest on the full screen because their internet connection is really bad. What I have seen happen before, and this might just be a note if this happens to you, if the show hasn't gone live yet, get the guest or yourself to log out and log back in again. That often can help. Something else that can help, and this is just, I guess, a standard thing, but be wired in if you can, and not necessarily on Wi-Fi. I had this happen with me just in a couple of weeks ago with clients where I was on Wi-Fi using StreamYard with clients, and they said, "Look, you're really grainy." Logged in on this computer, which is hardwired in, and it was a lot better. So just a couple of things to consider.
Let me pick up on that this is actually a very important point. I'm not even sure it's on the checklist, but it probably should be on the checklist. Zoom and StreamYard and lots of other great sites allow a mobile experience. What I mean by that is you can log in on your mobile. The reason I don't like Remo, and I'm happy to say it because I've experienced it many times, and you both have been on my live streams or on my experiences and couldn't get in. It's very embarrassing as the host to host something and people can't get into it. Annemarie refuses to use Remo anymore for this reason. But Remo does not allow a mobile experience yet, as it is, April 2020. And why that's important is that, we live in 2020. Everyone's got a phone. Not everyone has the ability to have hardwired internet on their PC with a webcam at 1080. Not everyone has that luxury. So I think from the point of view of the user, you have to have a mobile optimized experience. Would you agree with that, Doyle, or am I being a bit harsh?
I think it's important to have the mobile experience for the viewer, right? It does depend on sort of that style of show as well. If you want to stream from the beach because you're a fitness person or whatever, a surfer, then go for it kind of thing. So but I think a lot of people are watching it on mobile as well. So you kind of have to look at, does it have that capability to stream in like that? For business stuff, let's be honest, if they're going to watch the replay, they'll watch it on YouTube or whatever, and they can just use the YouTube player. So I don't think necessarily for live that it's critical. It's important. And I'm sure that as we get into more of this, we're going to see more of it as well. I've had, some lives done on the iPad or the phone or whatever the case may be. So they are limited in what you can actually do. So as a broadcaster, if you're presenting, you have to be aware of sort of those limitations up front so that you don't get suddenly caught going, "Oh, shoot, I can't actually do that here."
Yeah, but Remo, Keith, that's not a streaming platform. I think that's a completely kind of different platform in it of itself. But yeah, that's a whole other topic we will not delve into.
It's deep in the video, so people have to be very keen to hear this. But I'm not going to go openly and talk about sites I don't like. But there are sites that I love, like I love StreamYard. I'm happy to talk about it and shout it from the rooftops because it has all these great features and all the things that I value in life. It has some gadgets and some features. It's affordable, and I'm a man of the people. I want everyone in the world to stream if they want to. I don't want to, like you shared me this really cool gadget, and we'll talk about this in a subsequent show, where you can actually plug a piece of tech into your DSLR and plug it into your laptop. Well, that's a pretty high-tech piece of gadgetry, right? Not everyone's got a laptop. Not everyone's got a DSLR. Yeah. And so there it is.
Yeah.
And what's that one? What's that? I love tech.
This is the Elgato Cam Link. And I've actually had it for, it's going to be one of our shows coming up. Maybe if you want to try it and join us too, Annemarie. But I got it about 9 months ago, maybe. And at that time, it didn't actually have the support for my camera. So I basically put it in the shelf for the time being. But I went back and looked, once we started to talk more about this, Keith, it's like, hey, maybe I can use that again. And I did look, and it did have the support for that camera now.
Let's briefly talk about what
that is. So you can actually use your camera.
Yes, you can use like a DSLR. It's HDMI / USB. So you can connect a DSLR, and it converts it automatically into a webcam. So
in 4K.
Yeah. This is actually 4K. Yes. Yeah.
So all of the things
if your camera supports that. So yeah.
But so right there, this is really important. Right there, we've got the two sides of the coin. You got the democratization of content, where a person in Africa in a small village can log in on their Samsung 4 because that's all they've got. Yeah. And then you've got the ability that you've got a webcam and a camera that can stream in 4K, and your stuff's going to look brilliant if you've got the tech and you've got the infrastructure. And we will talk about
it.
But you don't need it.
But that you don't need it. You don't have to have the bells and whistles. And if you've got a laptop with your webcam, that's enough. And honestly, today I was setting up, and my Logitech 1080 camera doesn't work very well with this green screen for some reason. I'm not sure why. I just kind of get all washed out, and even sort of playing with the manual settings. But guess what? The Apple Mac Cam, whatever, it picks it up nicely, and the lighting's really good and doesn't have to be adjusted. So it gives you some options to test with and to try out and see, hey, when does this work easier or better as well? So yeah, really important. So yeah, I mean, from the business side, don't get caught up in the tech. Start with the basics. I always say that. Annemarie, you've probably experienced that too, like with people setting up podcasts. They don't need like the best microphone on the planet. Just get started rather. Look at your content and how you have actually create that story as well.
Yeah, I've got a saying, Doyle, worry about the message before you worry about the make and model of the microphone, because you could have the most expensive microphone, but if you don't have the right message, you can't edit and mix compelling content from crap content. So
that's perfect. Because yeah, you see people all posting on wherever, and it's like, oh, I got all this stuff, and it's like, well, have you produced a show yet?
Yeah. This is something that you can continue to say, and if you want to. But I did a video just it would have been a couple of months ago, and it kind of went, the good news is anyone can start a podcast. Just pick up this device, grab your microphone, and off you go. The bad news is anyone can start a podcast, and that's the same with live streaming, because anyone can start a live stream, but just because you can doesn't mean you should, unless you got the right strategy, content strategy, message. If you're a business, I'm assuming you want to build clients from all of the visibility that you're doing. So you got to have that strategy and the foundations in place. Otherwise, you're just adding to the clutter,
to the noise. Yeah, exactly. All right, cool. Let's keep moving here. Create and download recordings in different formats. So can you download on StreamYard?
Yes.
Okay.
MP4 and MP3.
You can actually get the MP3 separately now.
Separate, yes.
Wow.
Perfect. You can do that. Yeah, you can do that with BeLive as well. And we did a comparison last week where we saw that the quality was a bit better with the BeLive download than the Facebook download. As well. All right, ease of use and setup. I'm going to give it like this, about a 4-star kind of thing. It's a lot easier, I would say, than BeLive. Annemarie, have you used other platforms, and how
I
easy
have
would you
used
say
BeLive
StreamYard is?
previously, but not for quite some time because I
Okay.
had tech issues. So, and then kind of went on to Zoom. But I have found it is very simple, and you can go back and edit if you need. Ease of functionality is, to copy the link and send it to the guest. So all of that is quite streamlined. Yeah.
Can I just pick up on the difference between Zoom and StreamYard, because that's a very relevant comparison. I mean, BeLive is one of those ones that I have heard of, but I've never used. But everyone's heard of Zoom, and most people are using it. And for a little bit of cost, there is an additional cost, you can just flick a switch and stream your Zooms. That's in fact, Restream now syncs with Zoom. We're going to talk about this in a couple of weeks. So Zoom looks great. It's 1080, but it's $59 a month. And it only streams to a certain number of sites. What could you've done this exact comparison, Annemarie? Can you talk about the difference between Zoom at a higher cost and StreamYard at a lower cost with more options? Why did you make that switch?
Well, cost probably was one of the factors, but quite low. One of the things that I love about StreamYard that you really could not do was bring in comments. So from other people, bring in beautiful graphics and other things, ease of sharing screen and all of that. Yes, you can do that on Zoom. But one of the biggest factors was that the fact that I could stream to multiple platforms. And even more so was and now I've used StreamYard for quite a number of months. And in actual fact, it's been quite some time. I have found that I had more issues with the streaming aspect of Zoom. And if I didn't have issues, my guest had issues that we would often not be able to even stream live because you get that wheel, and then we'd have to update and all of that. And so because of, the cost factor and the multiple times, and there were many times actually, that I had issues that I thought not going to, and I really haven't had any issues with StreamYard other than, of course, the internet connection.
So functionality is the main reason. It's just easier to use and it always
easier
works.
to use, reliability wise, and the fact that you can stream to multiple platforms.
Because that's part of our criteria, isn't it, Doyle? The idea of not only the cost, but can you use it? Is it easy to use? Will it work reliably every time? You don't want to schedule a show with a really important guest and then have the tech fail.
No, we don't. Yeah, we all have our horror stories where that's happened.
Hello, Keith, you there?
But let me use this as a guide. Like, expect something to happen and just kind of have a backup or a way of kind of piecing it together. So yeah. All right. Branding broadcasts. Yes, we can do that. Chroma keys or green screen, whatever. Yes, we can do that as well. As I mentioned, it is a little bit trickier, a little bit more finicky than a Zoom, but at least it has that, right? There is an update coming, I think, where you can actually blur the background instead of just having the green screen as well. So yeah. Guest green room as well. There's no real space for guests to go. I mean, we can bring you up and down into the feed, into the stream rather, but BeLive, for example, allows you to kind of chat and converse with that person even in that sort of space before you go on.
But they're not streaming.
You want to show viewers what we did right at the start, where you were able to show the different configurations for what the guests can look like.
Yeah, sure. So this is the solo view. This is the vertical view with all the guests, and then this is how do we actually make the full screen view of each guest, and then highlighting, I guess, the host in this case. We can't actually flip between sort of prioritizing that large screen as well. And then we can have back to this view as well.
Yeah, so you've got 4 options of visuals.
Yeah. And then I can actually bring the guest in as the full screen. I can bring you in, Keith. I can bring you in, Annemarie. Or I can go back to sort of the view that's helpful to us.
All run by your dashboard.
Yeah, and it's very intuitive. I did take a screenshot. Maybe we'll add that to the comments as the actual screenshot of how it looks, as well as the guide. We're preparing a guidebook for all these different channels and tools and strategies and that sort of thing. So we'll be doing that shortly. But yeah, it gives you, it's very easy. It's intuitive. It's right there. It's right below the screen. You just click on the button and away you go. So again, I find that a lot easier than Be Live, quite honestly. Practice runs. Yes, you can do practice runs. You can record them as well, which is a good feature because especially at the start. But what I found is that even I mean, I've been running live streams for years, but sometimes if you have a little break, a little holiday, right, you get back into it and it's like, oh, which button am I supposed to press? So practicing doesn't hurt, right? It certainly can help as you get into it, and especially if you're just starting out.
One of the things that you can do, and I don't know if this is a criteria that you're measuring, Doyle, is that StreamYard will also enable you to record an interview that you don't necessarily want to go live. So you can set it up and just have it as recording, which is good.
So record only function.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar to Zoom where, you can record and not necessarily stream. You can do that as well.
Let's add that as a criteria, a record only function.
Yeah, I do have that as practice runs, but yeah, record.
So that you can use the video in its entirety, of course.
Yeah. Okay, I'll add that as a separate item, might as well.
That's
being able to record without going live.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is a good feature because, again, yeah, if you just want to do the show in advance, you like the familiarity of that interface, whichever one you choose, it certainly can be helpful. Number 15, business aspects. We're almost done here. Business aspects, selling and marketing. I don't know, Annemarie, do you see any specific tools that you can use with StreamYard from the marketing side of things?
Well, I think, marketing for me is about building awareness, brand awareness, and really building that intrigue. So how you use that and integrate, like you might put web links down and have the banner set up. You could put your own, if you've got a call to action or a free offer, your list builder strategy, you can put that down the bottom. You may even, if you wanted to, have a picture, like say it's an ebook or a podcast series, have a nice image. So there's certain aspects that you can integrate within that just to be a little bit more compelling, and then that way I think so people can kind of see it as well. So those are the ways.
Yeah, so you can actually repurpose some of these things to actually use as marketing tools as well. One of the interesting things on Be Live that they've added in the last 6 months is adding like a little a link store, basically, or a store for links where you can actually put them to a specific product or service or page.
So it clicks through.
So you can preview it. I can, for example, I can pull up a little image and link for my book, for example, and people can go through that. It's not a live link though, like you can't actually click on the video if that's what you meant. It does give that a sense that here's my products and this is kind of what you can buy.
So it does have a business aspect. It's definitely got a business aspect.
Yeah. And I think fundamentally those are key ingredients too, as we've talked about numerous times, is that making sure that it has a business purpose as well. And it might not be selling products or services online, right? That's for, a different format, but at least it kind of brings people into your digital ecosystem as well. Stability. How have you found stability with StreamYard?
Very
good. In terms of video. I would say so too.
The only thing is, of course, if and that's the internet, depending on where they're at. And if you think about, so many more people are using StreamYard now as they are with Zoom. And I have noticed that Zoom and other people have commented too that because more users now, it has inhibited some of the quality. But I have to say that you guys, from my screen, have looked really solid as far as the,
Do you mean good looking too, Annemarie?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But yeah, it's not pixelated.
That's all to do with lighting.
and makeup. I put my makeup on.
Well, none of us have got makeup on because I got a bung eye. So anyway, there you go.
All right, cool. And the last one, ease of video editing and highlighted speaker view. Keith, you talked about that briefly, but you like this view here where you can go full screen. And why is that?
Well, there's two things I want to say about this. One is it's not voice activated. I know that's a feature that Zoom has. What that means is they call this speaker view. When the person speaks and coughs, if they're not muted, there's a bit of tech in the background that'll automatically switch to the person that's speaking. Why that's powerful is that when I'm editing this, I'm going to be in full screen, which means the editing is much easier for me, because I'm going to get a strong, non-fuzzy image without too much cropping. But the idea of having to manually switch to this view is not troublesome, isn't it? It's pretty intuitive, yeah?
Oh, definitely. That's right. And it's good because, I mean, as Doyle has been clicking through, now you're in the big screen, Keith, and
we'll go back.
Change. Yeah.
A case in point that had that have been Zoom, Annemarie would have already ordinarily, based on the tech, taken over the screen, which again makes the editing more sort of seamless.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you have to notice. A good point, Keith, that if I'm talking to my guest and my guest is on large screen or the full screen, I need to be mindful that when I talk, I bring myself in so that I'm not this talking voice, kind of coming from nowhere from a visual aspect of things. So these are all things that you need to consider.
Yeah, that's a pro tip, Annemarie.
Yeah, unless you want to come in the voice of God. Yes, it is Keith. Actually, you've done that. Tips of the Twitterverse.
These are probably nice to have, but the point that I'm very excited about is that we're going to pull apart the various sites available. Next week, we're actually going to showcase Ecamm, which is a Mac-only product. It's unavailable to me because I don't have a Mac or an iPhone. So we're going to talk about the difference, and it's much better. It's got lots and lots and lots of tech in it, but you have to have a Mac to have it. So again, that's a would be nice, isn't it? I don't have a Mac.
I have used Ecamm too in the past. I can't remember why I haven't used it. I think I went Be Live, Ecamm, or Ecamm Be Live.
Well, it'd
be interesting to hear the guest speak about that. Or you find that out, Doyle.
Yeah, I think I followed that similar route, Annemarie, and I found that it's because at the time they didn't have live version. They had Ecamm, which is more kind of like a recording software. So you could record the software, but they've recently upgraded that, and it's actually a nice little platform.
Yeah, no, I did stream, and it would have been a couple of years ago. Yeah, because
originally they didn't, but yeah.
What do you think the promise is there, Doyle? A better quality product, just as simply another competitor?
Honestly, the quality I've seen coming from Ecamm is really good. In that regard, there is something similar though for PC. It's called XSplit. And I've kind of been watching that for years going, oh, when can we have this feature? Because
it's really hard to use. It's really hard.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. But they have like the bokeh background where it just kind of fades, a little bit fuzzy. It's a little bit out of focus type thing, which is really good. Because personally, I don't like the green screen.
I just take my glasses off. Everything goes fuzzy for me. So I don't need.
Well, there you go.
Just with I was going to say with Ecamm, and I know just briefly for my purpose, can you stream live to multiple platforms? It's only into Facebook, or that's what
it is multiple. Yeah,
multiple. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So they have upgraded it over the years.
I can't wait to hear how it works because it's got all of the promises of StreamYard, but I'm pretty sure it's 1080. It might even be 4K now. Might even be 4K.
We might even make you an Apple enthusiast, Keith.
Well, I've got to get a Mac to use it though. I'm happy to be a guest on other people with good lighting. I can look even better.
Even more handsome.
Mind you, getting to our age, you don't want it to be too pixelated.
That's right.
I'm quite happy with 720 or whatever.
Yeah, there is some forgiveness in the lack of. You just blame it on the internet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this has been a fantastic episode, Annemarie, Keith. Thank you so much for joining us. How do we get in touch with you, Annemarie?
Yeah, Annemarie Coach.
I have that right. Annemarie Coach.
Connect with me on LinkedIn, Annemarie Cross.
Okay, perfect. And Keith, yourself?
Yeah. Just find me on Twitter because I am a Twitter dude and I love Twitter. I'm on there all the time. And it's just keithkeller.com.au if you want to go to my website. And there's a blog there and all my podcasts and an ebook, which we're going to update. I just love the idea that we're making a really lovely series of these and we're going to turn it into a little giveaway so that people can get a bit of a sense of what to do next and contact us if they need more info. And who knows where this will go. We're just we're sort of making it up as we go, but there is some sort of strategy there, isn't there?
There's always a strategy. Yeah, and anybody who wants to reach out to me. Oh, actually, Annemarie left, I guess. Oh, there we go. She's back. There we go. You dropped off. Yeah, and anybody who wants to get in touch with me, please feel free to reach out on Twitter at Doyle Buehler, most channels as well. I'm there and happy to help and answer questions. So if you're watching this as the replay, please let us know you're watching the replay and ask any questions, and we'll respond as quickly as possible.
In the following show.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Thanks so much, Annemarie. Thanks so much, Keith.
Thanks, Joel. Thanks,
Thanks,
Keith.
everybody, for watching, and we will see you guys online.